I can tell you who Iceman is not. He's not some light-skinned rapper from Canada who got destroyed by Kendrick Lamar a couple years ago. That's not Iceman. Iceman is not an album from Drake. No. He's not some Jack Frost wannabe, Frosty the Snowman looking ass motherfucker. He ain't making snow cones and ice skating and chilling Logan's beer, punk ass kid. That's not who he is. He is an Omega level mutant who literally manipulates the fundamental thermodynamics of the universe. What does that mean? You're gonna fucking find out. He doesn't shoot ice, Adrian, because that's impossible. You can't project cold. Cold is just the absence of heat, okay? Sure. Bobby Drake, his actual mutant power is the ability to instantly, psionically strip the kinetic energy and thermal heat out of any atomic structure in his vicinity. He doesn't create a snowball. He steals the heat from the moisture in the air until the water molecules crash to a dead halt and freeze solid. He was born in Port Washington, New York, born to William and Madeline Drake, a working class Catholic family. When he was 15, he took a girl named Judy Harmon on a date. They're trying to go see a movie, and some bitch-ass motherfucker named Rocky Beasley tries to steal his girl. He showed up. He's figured, I beat Bobby's ass, take his chick, and I get to go to the movies with her. Well, Bobby panics. He puts his hand up in self-defense. He just wants this dude to stop. And because he's panicking and he's a mutant, he instantly drains the thermal energy from around this guy, encasing Rocky in this massive solid block of ice. He fucking puts him in an ice cube. So the punk-ass town, they did what white people normally do, Adrian. They organized a mob of pitchfork-wielding Karens with their husbands. They broke into Bobby's house. They dragged his little ass into the street, tried to kill him. So needless to say, they weren't very pro-mutant in this neighborhood. The situation was so violent, the local sheriff actually had to arrest Bobby and lock him up inside a jail cell, not to punish him, but to keep him away from his neighbors who were trying to murder him. Professor Charles Xavier, he caught wind of the mutant hysteria on the news, and he sent, at this time, his only student, Scotty Boy Cyclops, too. So he sends him to the jail. Scott breaks Bobby out of jail. He offers him a way out, and Bobby, dude, at this point, he's traumatized, he's tired, he's crazy defensive after what just happened. He thought Scott was just another person trying to hurt him. So these two are fighting in the middle of the street, two teenagers brawling in the streets, using their powers and shit. Then the angry mob, dude, they come back with their fucking pitchforks and shit, and they start attacking these two. And then Professor Xavier arrived in person to clean up his mess. Well, clean up the mess. He used his telepathic abilities to freeze the mob in place. We've seen him do this, movies and stuff. He then wipes the entire town's memory of the incident and of Chuck showing up, shirt cocking with no blanket. He wipes all that out of their memory. Even the memories of Bobby's own parents, he wipes those too. Then Xavier asked Bobby to freeze the noodle he had under his blanket. I'm just kidding. He doesn't ask him that. He asked him to join the X-Men. Bobby agrees. He goes to the mansion in Westchester, and that officially made him the second member of the X-Men. Bobby joins the X-Men. For decades, though, Bobby was the clown of the X-Men, dude. He made ice baths, he threw snowballs. He never pushed his limits. He's the fun guy. He's Jack Frost, right? Sure. Then, one of the greatest telepathic villains in Marvel history showed him his true, terrifying potential. The White Queen herself, Adrian, Emma Frost. Now, if Scarlet Witch is our queen, I mean, Emma Frost is probably our second queen. Okay, just saying. At this point, she was still a villain. She had suffered some severe physical trauma. She fell into a coma. Okay, I don't know what the fuck she was doing. She got fucked up. She's desperate to survive. She transferred her consciousness directly into Bobby Drake's brain, completely hijacking his body. Okay, so Bobby's a guy who had this potential. I mean, he's an Omega level mutant, but he had such crippling anxiety, these moral issues with using his powers. Like, he was nerfing himself. So she accesses this power without any of that bullshit. So she didn't just make fucking ice slides and, chill her friends' beers. She turned his body into liquid water to travel seamlessly through buildings, plumbing. This is stuff you talk about in the Hidden Gem, how deep. But she unlocked that shit. So she infiltrated a facility by traveling as a vapor. She froze the fluids inside of the bodies of the guards, instantly incapacitating them from the inside out. She did all that using his shit, fucking like one day. And then when Emma eventually returned to her own body, She gave Bobby his mind back, but she mocked the shit out of him. She's like, bro, you stupid bitch. You're sitting on this god tier Omega level power, but you're out there fucking making snow cones and shit, you dumbass. But his own, his little lack of self-esteem, his immaturity, he's afraid of hurting people.
Right.
That was physically restricting his mutation.
Sure.
So now she telepathically, after this, forces him to confront his own molecular structure. Under her kind of aggressive psychic guidance, Bobby finally learned how to stop wearing ice and actually became the ice. So you remember, like, he would just have like ice certain parts of, and then at one point, he literally became an ice dude, right? So Emma was the one who taught him that shit, taught him how to convert his biological human tissue into organic ice, effectively making him immortal. So after he untapped these powers, dude, he could do things like drop the temperature around him to absolute zero. Dude, you're talking negative like 300 degrees or some shit. He can literally freeze explosions in midair when he gets down to that cold. So he converted his organic tissue into this sentient living ice. So he's been shattered into a fucking million pieces. And all he'll do is, I'll say all he'll do, but his consciousness exists within the moisture. So he'll just pull these water molecules from the air and rebuild his entire physical form from scratch. And he's still there. He's fucking immortal. Hydrokinesis. He's a god tier waterbender. So it's not just his dominion over ice, it's over water in all forms. Solid, liquid, gas. He can evaporate himself into steam. He can travel miles through the fucking wind, and he can reform his body anywhere on the planet. He can control moisture over vast distances, so his brain can create multiple avatars at once, like ice clones. And he can simultaneously create, animate, control a whole fucking army of these motherfuckers, which they possess his exact physical strength and his freezing capabilities as well. He can trace water out of the desert air to create massive structures. If he's pushed to like absolute fucking ruthlessness, he can extract the water out of a human being's biological cells and turn them to dust. So one of his most impressive feats was what he did to Juggernaut. Juggernaut's a character that I need to do on this one of these weeks because his shit is insane.
Yep.
Now, Juggernaut is powered by the Crimson Gem of Sidorak. And he's physically unstoppable. Part of his whole thing is once he starts moving, dude, he's unstoppable, right? So Bobby can't just put up a wall of ice or some bullshit. You know what this motherfucker did to Juggernaut? He bypassed his armor completely. He froze the fluid inside of his joints. We all got fluid inside our joints, right? He froze the fluid in between Juggernaut's joints, physically locking his body in place. He couldn't move. That's one fucking hell of a way, painful way too, I'm sure, to take care of Juggernaut. He froze hell once. So he traveled to a demonic hell dimension with the X-Men. And the ambient heat and the magical fire was so intense that it should have just vaporized him. Instead, he used his full Omega potential, overpowered the magic of the realm, and literally froze a massive section of hell completely solid. So you know the whole when hell freezes over? Well, if Bobby's there, bro, and he's untapped, he will freeze that motherfucker. So powerful as shit. Emma, she helped him, but she's not what unlocked his true Omega potential. Let's talk about some of his relationships. So he's dated some women in the comics, dude. Polaris, Kitty Pryde, Mystique, right? Bobby's been around a little bit, dude. These relationships always self-destruct because he's just a funny guy. He's immature. He's too sarcastic. He's doing a lot to overcompensate and hide his true self. So he's got some deep insecurities. How did those get pulled out? There was a fucking time-displaced version of Jean Grey. Dude, I mean, the Summers and the they cause a lot of bullshit in the comics, right? I mean, from Cable to Sinister being after them, the Phoenix, Madeline Pryor, they cause a lot of drama. But somehow a time-displaced younger version of Jean Grey is brought to the present. She's reading Bobby's mind, and she confronts him with the truth, bro. She goes, Bobby, you're gay. Not like trying to make fun, not like a 90s, hey, you're gay. No, Bobby, you're fucking gay, bro. You didn't know this? And he came to the realization that, yeah, he spent his entire life hiding this. So what does that have to do with his power? Well, because of the I guess the impact of keeping that secret for so long, that tied into why he held back his mutant powers and why he sabotaged his relationships and why he had spent decades being terrified of his true self. Kind of twofold. Part of it was the stress of being a mutant, number one. So he's already hated for being a mutant. And then he's like, on top of that, I'm gay. So he understands the treatment, especially back then, right? How the masses viewed people that weren't straight. So he's dealing with both of those. But then once he finally accepted that, he came out to all his friends, he embraced who he really was. He even started dating Romeo, the Inhuman, and then Christian Frost later on. This massive psychological weight was lifted. He accepted his true identity, and then he mastered his Omega level abilities. Once he stopped hiding from the world, he stopped hiding his powers from himself pretty much. So it was like this psychological dam was broken. He no longer needed like a traumatic event to be pushed to his limits, because he had went, God tier Omega level at times, but it would be under massive stress. He can now do that at will without losing his mind. So it was a part of it was a confidence thing. The fear of hurting people vanished because he finally trusted himself. He stopped viewing his powers as a curse that may spiral out of control and started viewing them more as a natural extension of his true self. So coming out actually helped him be more comfortable existing in this organic ice state. He stopped clinging to his human appearance as a safety blanket as well. So that was the catalyst to him unlocking his true Omega potential to be able to use that at will. So that is who the fuck Iceman is.